we're not in the business of out consoling Sony or out consoling Nintendo. There isn't really a great solution or win for us. And I know that will upset a ton of people, but it's just the truth of the matter is that when you're third place in the console marketplace and the top two players are as strong as they are and have, in certain cases, very, very discrete focus on doing deals and other things that will that kind of make being Xbox hard for us as a team. That's on us, not on anybody else. But we are not in a position, and I see it out there. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way.
You are listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'.
If you're new to the podcast, welcome to the show. If you're into anime, if you're into nerd culture, and if you love gaming, you come to the right place because we talk about all that shit here. I know you heard the intro. It's a lot going on out here in these video game streets. We're going to get into all of it. I'm surprised he said what he said. I'm talking about Phil Spencer. If you guys don't know who the guy was at the beginning of the show talking, he represents Xbox, and I'm going to get into all of that. I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about huge Zelda news. I'm not going to spoil anything, guys, but I am going to give you some information that a lot of you may have had questions on or about when it comes to this game. Something I'm truly, truly excited to talk about, and I'm going to break that down a little bit. And then also, I finished Star Wars Survivor, and I cannot wait to talk about that. Also, if you heard last week's podcast, I said, I kept saying Fallen Order a lot. It was a habit. I don't know why I couldn't shake that, but I said it a lot, and I'm just apologizing for that. In this week's show, hopefully I'll get to the point where I'm saying Survivor a lot now. But yes, I want to talk about that. I'm going to break down my review of the game. So this is definitely going to have some spoilers in it. So if you guys don't want to hear anything about the Star Wars game, then you should probably not listen to this segment. Okay. And I'll let you know in advance, but yeah, just be wary of that. I will say it was an excellent experience. I can't wait to talk about it. But yeah, this is the 3 topics that we're going to discuss in this episode, guys. And let's get down to it. Okay. I guess I'm going to go ahead and start with, the Zelda news, because it's not a long discussion. You know, it's pretty short, but I want to talk a little bit about that with you guys now. These are some questions that I've had. Some of you guys may have had, looking at videos, looking at stuff in the media. A lot of people are wondering about this when it comes to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm happy to announce that great things besides the leaks and all of that, because there are a shit ton of leaks out there. You guys know that. I've tried to stay away from it, and I've done a pretty good job so far. I haven't had anything spoiled for me. You know, if I see anything Zelda-esque, I just kind of tune it off. It's hard sometimes because you fall down a rabbit hole and you just want to know so bad, especially if you're really wanting to play this game. And sometimes you can't resist. You just go in and you do what you do. But like I said, the game is so huge. The first one was huge. There's only so much that can be spoiled for you unless you're sitting down watching somebody play for days on end. You're not going to catch everything. There's no fucking way you can at all. So what people wanted to know about this game, including me, myself, is, are there going to be shrines? Are there going to be dungeons? Were there going to be caves in this game? And to answer your questions, if you're wondering about all this, the answer is yes to all three. Okay, yes, there are shrines in this game. Okay, yes, there are dungeons in this game, and there are caves in this game. And when it comes to caves in this game, there's going to be around 400 different caves. Okay, this game is going to be huge, guys. If you thought Breath of the Wild was big, you might as well say this game is almost 3 times the size. You got all the islands in the sky, then you have Hyrule, and then supposedly there's another realm, and I'll just leave it at that. Now, I didn't get a chance to find out how big the game was actually going to be. I'm going to have to find that out later. But I'm assuming you can fit all that on one disc, because the first Breath of the Wild game, I want to say, was around 16 gigs in size. Maybe a little bit more, but I don't think any more than that. So I think the basic game is going to fit on there. Now, what I will also say about this game is that if you were wondering about how it was going to run on this hardware, because this is old tech, this is 2017 tech, okay? And even older if you count how long they've been working on this stuff, guys. The game came out in 2017, the first Zelda game. And since then, it's probably taken them years to make. So really, you want to say they probably had this tech working on this shit maybe 2014 or so, maybe 2015, something like that. But anyway, a lot of people want to know, hey, is this game going to run smooth? Are there going to be any issues with that type of thing? Okay, we all know, well, if you don't, the game is going to run at 30 frames per second. And that's typical for Nintendo and for this tech that they're using on the Nintendo Switch. And that's normal. Okay, no problems with that. But people are wanting to know if it's going to run at a steady, locked 30 frames per second. Okay, now, a lot of people who got the game early by accident, because Nintendo was not trying to give this shit out early, and it still got fucking leaked. And people even on Amazon were ordering this stuff, guys, and getting their copies in the mail. Okay, that's crazy. Sometimes you're gonna get games that slip through the cracks, and it happens every time. You can't escape it. It is what it is. And with the power of the internet, people are gonna put this shit out. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But anyway, they had, I think, 1.0. I think that's what came out if you got the game early. And I was looking at a guy who was playing the game, and he said that the game was stuttering a little bit when it came to the beginning of the game in the air. Whenever you're in the air, because you're going to be flying a lot and be doing a lot of shit in the air with this game. So he said around that time frame, first 2 or 3 hours in the game, he was experiencing a lot of that. Not a lot, but enough to where it needs to be addressed. Okay. So then I guess recently they just put out an update. I think 1.1 is what it is. And when that update came out, apparently that fixed a lot of the issues. Now, he couldn't go back to the very beginning where he was at, so he can't specify what changes took place there. But he was saying that as far as everything else where he was at in the game, everything was basically running pretty buttery smooth. Okay. At that point. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have 1 or 2 more updates easily after this game launches, guys. There may be some other things people might find and encounter. This is a huge game. You have to keep in mind. So there's probably going to be a glitch here or there from time to time or whatnot. There's just no way you can comb over all of that game, a game this big, open world like it is, and not experience something, whether it's a fluke accident or whatever it is that it may be. So I'm sure that we're going to have more patches to come. But the main thing I wanted to make sure of, if when the game comes out, is it going to be playable, and is it going to be a lot of, shit going along with it? And thankfully, from what I'm hearing, that's not going to be the case. And Nintendo having this game, being able to work on this game for this amount of time, I'm sure they had all this stuff in their back pocket and ready to, get everything set. So we don't really have to worry about that when it comes to Nintendo's first party games too often. Okay. And if it is, then it's really fixed very quickly. Okay. We don't have to worry about none of that. So I was just putting that out there, getting that information out there to you guys. If you're wondering about the shrines or dungeons or even caves, guys, we're going to have all of that. So there's going to be so many things that you can get. And apparently there's a power up, or there's some sort of something you earn every time you complete a cave, shrine, or dungeon. So there's so many incentives to go out and do all kinds of shit. And it is what it is. It's going to be so much to do. So get ready. It's going down. I cannot wait for Friday. I hope they release it. We get a midnight release. You may get it, but we may not. Nintendo is funny like that. Even though this game is leaked like crazy, Nintendo would still say, "No, fuck it. Let everybody wait till Friday." And that's just what it'll be. So I'll let you guys know next week's podcast. I will definitely give you guys a little tidbit or tidbits on what's been going on in Zelda, what I've played, in case you were wondering. And I can't wait to talk about it with you guys next week. So yeah, be looking forward to that. But anyway, let's move on to the next lecture at hand, shall we? And that lecture is going to be the shit that's been going on with Xbox. Okay, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth at the beginning of the show. Phil Spencer breaking shit down and basically admitting defeat. He basically just admitted defeat, okay? Now, there's a lot I want to talk about when it comes to the subject, okay? It's very, very sensitive for a lot of people, okay? A lot of Xbox guys out here. And for somebody who owns an Xbox and who has a number of Xboxes in our family, my son and me, we both have it and play it. You know, I'm talking about this. I feel like I'm privy to talk about this because I'm not a guy who's on the outside looking in. I'm not a guy who doesn't know what I'm talking about or hasn't experienced the Xbox or not an Xbox owner. So I feel like I can talk about this with you guys. And, you know, anybody can talk about whatever you want, essentially, because it's freedom of speech, whatever. But I'm just saying in this kind of in this field, okay, when we're talking about games, me personally, I have a personal opinion that I think that people who do not own a said system should not be at liberty to talk about certain things when it comes to that system because they don't know what it's like to actually own and play that game. Yeah, you can watch, you can do all that and read all you want, but until you have a controller in your hand, until you've gone through all of the software and played with all of that and done these things, then you can then truly talk about what it is you're trying to convey. That's just my personal opinion. And I'll leave it at that. But, you know, I want to talk about this because, you know, he broke a lot of hearts. Phil Spencer broke a lot of hearts out here. And he didn't really say anything personally that I heard that I didn't already know, if I'm being honest. What he said, he essentially said that, hey, we're third place. Okay, we're third place. And what a lot of Xbox fans are mad about is he said that even if they were to make quality first party games, that it would not do any good for that brand and it would not convert anybody over to the Xbox side as far as being a numero uno or making a shift, if you will, in who has the best system. Now, if you guys remember back in the Xbox 360 days, that's when Xbox reigned supreme. That's when they were the creme de la creme. And even with the red ring of death, man, they still had people, even myself, going and buying another Xbox. Like I had two red rings. Yeah, I had two red rings before I said, you know, fuck it. And I switched over to Sony and never really went back since, essentially as being a, what's the word I'm looking for? Just being a number one console for me. Like Xbox 360 used to be a number one console for me. Okay. And then I converted over to Sony. And this was after PlayStation 2, of course, when everybody was playing PlayStation 2 and all of that. And that was the number one system. But then Xbox had their time in the sun. And now we're back with Sony and they haven't been able to recover ever since. OK, they've had some decent IPs through the years, you know, but they've never been able to come and knock Sony off, or Nintendo for that matter. And in my opinion, Nintendo and Sony kind of are neck and neck. And depending on what day you wake somebody up on, if you own both systems, you may say Nintendo's better. You may say Sony's better. It just depends on whose first party games you like more. Personally, I kind of dive over on the Sony side as far as liking more of their IPs more, but Nintendo does have bangers and you can't argue with games like Breath of the Wild. These are game changing first party games. And this is stuff that is always going to sell. And it just is what it is. Okay. Nobody will be able to touch Zelda, in a lot of aspects in gaming. And it just is what it is. It's just something about Zelda that does something to most gamers, you know, and, you know, I'm one of those people as well. So I just enjoy all games. And I feel that if you had only to pick two systems and you can only pick two, man, it'd be hard not to go with Sony and Nintendo. It would just be very hard. And the reason why I think those two are more popular also is because, hey, we're talking about Japanese companies, okay? And we're talking about the culture. If you break it all down to the culture of everything, the Japanese culture itself is just so different from the culture out here in the United States, man. It is. It's so easy to see. If you go to Japan, or if you go on YouTube and just dive into Japanese culture, and you will see that video games has always been, for as long as I can remember at least, has been a part of their culture. It's woven into it like apple pie and hamburgers, okay, out here in the United States. It's what they do. Outlandish, over the top stories and anime and manga and video games. These are things that are not taboo out there. Never was. Okay. This stuff is put at the forefront. When you go to movie theaters out there in Japan, they're showing just as much anime, okay, than they are fucking motion pictures, live action films. When you go to restaurants down there, they promote anime characters and the likes of such on an everyday basis. Every corner you go to, on every other street, there's a gaming store. There's a manga store. Okay. There's cosplay. There's all these things that don't happen here like that. Now it's growing very fast out here. But man, I remember back in high school, the shit was taboo as fuck. And, you know, it took years to get to the point where it's been acceptable. And now we're at a point where it's actually cool to fuck around with this stuff. But I was there when it wasn't. And all I'm saying is, when you have culture already there, it's hard to beat that. It just really is. It's hard to beat that, guys. It just is. And Microsoft doesn't have those type of relationships, okay, with those developers who just aren't afraid to reach for certain things when it comes to creating games and IPs and all of those things. They've been doing it for years. It's just in them to do that. So with all the money that Microsoft has, that's something I would be pushing. I would put my money towards that, getting those developers on at least some of them. You're not going to get them all, but some of them over here to the Xbox side, and growing with them, having them show us, you know, how they do it out there, and adopting some of that and just putting that in our games, putting that in our IPs. And at least we would have some sort of division that, hey, you guys are putting out these dope Japanese RPGs or these crazy taboo or obtuse games, you know, as well. We want to do the same thing. We have a team for that. And they could do it. It's they're not really trying to. And I personally think that the only reason Phil Spencer still has a job is because Microsoft as a whole understands what they are. They know that they're not going to be number one. So they're looking at it like, fuck it. Why do that? Why try to make these games and jump through these hoops and try to do what Sony or Nintendo is doing when we don't necessarily have to? Microsoft is more like, okay, they look at Xbox as just a piece to a huge, huge puzzle. Okay. This is just our game division to them. Hey, this is just a division that they make games over here. Okay. But we do AI over here. We do computers. We do all of this other shit. Okay. That's their bread and butter. That's where Microsoft makes most of their money. Let's just keep it real. That's what they are. Okay. If you took Xbox away from Microsoft, they really wouldn't miss a beat. They really wouldn't miss too much of a beat at all. They'd keep on ticking like hardly nothing was wrong. Okay. And that's just the truth. And they finally admitted it. Okay. Phil Spencer finally admitted what they've probably known and probably thunk for years. And now it's just coming to the light. And now it's rubbing a lot of Xbox players and Xbox enthusiasts the wrong way. And I would be too if, you know, Sony came out and said some shit like that. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, guys. I told you guys before, don't expect don't expect Microsoft to try to do or be anything like Nintendo or Sony, because they had no intention of doing that from the jump. And now it's evident. It's perfectly evident. And they don't, like I said, he admitted that Redfall, they planned on Redfall coming out 60 frames and it came out 30. He said he was disappointed. He was upset with himself. All these things, which is, in my opinion, PR talk for the most part. And it's not going to help anyone, especially Xbox fans who are looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. You're not going to get that. That's not going to help anyone. Okay. Because now, if anything, everybody's saying the world is ending. The Xbox world is crumbling down around them. And what are they going to do now? Because he just admitted this stuff. So moving forward, to be honest with you guys, I think this is them setting the table for what is going to be. I don't want to wish bad on anything because I'm really looking forward to playing this game, but you know, the game that everybody's talking about. Okay. And they've already delayed it. Okay. Already. And it's going to be coming out hopefully this year. And when it comes out, all I'm saying is I hope that it runs at 60 frames, but I have a feeling that it's not going to. And that's the sad part. And I think Phil Spencer was talking how he was talking partially to kind of give everybody a buffer to get ready for that. And it's not going to be good. Am I still going to play it? Sure. I'm still going to play it because it's free on Game Pass. And that's another thing. I'm going to segue into that. That's another thing. This has all been part, in my opinion, this has all been a part of Microsoft's plan. The Game Pass thing is, like I said, their version of, hey, this is our game division. Hey, come fuck with us, guys. Here's Game Pass. You pay a premium. You pay this. Hey, you get these games free. But at the same time, in the same breath, in the same sentence, they're not putting all their eggs in that basket. In other words, hey, it's free on Game Pass. So we'll fix this later. We'll worry about that later. Okay. They don't hold gamers as important as some of these other companies do, like a Sony or like a Nintendo. And even Nintendo, I could argue that they have certain things that make you question if they care about their players or not, because some of the shit that they do is ridiculous. It's outlandish. And I don't understand it half the time. They're funny style. They are actually very, very funny style sometimes, but they have a fucking damn good product and they have damn good IPs. Okay. You can't argue with that. You can't. I have a love-hate relationship with Nintendo. I've said it dozens of times and I'll continue to say it because they continue to practice what they're practicing. Now, maybe when we get a new president, when we get somebody new at the top of the food chain who maybe understands, maybe a younger person who understands the gamer and how gamers think worldwide, shall I say, then we may get some changes. But right now, currently as we stand, it's not happening. Okay. But still, you can't deny the sales with Nintendo. You can't deny the fandom. You can't deny everything that they represent. You just can't, no matter how fucked up they are at times. And Sony, we all know about them. I just look at Sony as a player's company. You know, they're more so the player friendliest company out there right now, out of the three. Okay. Because Xbox, you see now that how they feel about the gamers. Okay. I'm not saying they don't care about the gamers at all or whatever. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is they don't care as much, put it like that. Okay. To them, like I said, it's just a division, and we have a section of a company and we have guys over here who make games, you know, and there you have it. And it ends there. It ends right there. Like I said, first party games, they're not trying to make first party games. They're not trying to make more first party games than Nintendo or Sony. They're not trying to be that guy. And they know that. They understand their role. And they said, this is what it is. He even said that even if we went and did that and tried to get the best and tried to do all these things and make these relationships and make everything work, it's still a losing battle. He basically said it doesn't make a difference. So if they went and did the stuff that Sony was doing and making the games that Sony was making, or Nintendo, okay, or the likes of those guys, that it wouldn't matter. And people wouldn't change. It would not change their perspective. It would not have them switch over or go get another system or trade in their Sony stuff or Nintendo stuff for Xbox. Well, nobody's going to most likely do that because, yes, they've built up, Sony and Nintendo have built up a name. Nobody's going to sell most people aren't selling their PlayStations or the Nintendo stuff unless they've come on hard times or something like that. Okay. But if you're just a gamer and you're good, you're not getting rid of that anyway. But it would make people feel better about owning an Xbox, or it would make people maybe reconsider, hey, maybe I should add this and put this in a rotation as well, along with the others. And he's saying that wouldn't change. And I think that's not true at all. I mean, that's why Sony and Nintendo are who they are now, because of their IPs. That's why people mess with them. That's why they're highly sought after, because of the stuff that they do. If Xbox did some stuff like that or similar things, they'd be right there too. They would. They really would. And I'm sitting here telling you guys this because I still believe in Game Pass. I still love Game Pass. And I feel that Game Pass has a place for the average gamer, because the average gamer or the more casual gamer, they tend to flock towards that aspect of it. Okay. But if you're an enthusiast like myself, who enjoys just great stories, and great adventures and things of that nature, you really want that, you're really seeking that type of stuff, then you're going to want to play with the PlayStation. You're going to want to experience some of the stuff what Nintendo has to offer. And that's just what it is. You're not going to get that with Xbox. You're going to get a lot of third-party games. And yeah, that's it. Now, if you want to go back and play some of their older IPs, you can do that. They have plenty of those as well. The Gears of War franchises and things of that nature. That's fine and dandy. The Halos and stuff like that. Sure. And a lot of people love those franchises. Nothing against them. It's just, what have you done for me lately? What have you put out? What new things have you come out? People are still waiting on Fable. They're still waiting on these games. I don't know when they're going to come. They're dragging their feet. They're not even worried about it, in my opinion. Because like I said, and like Phil said, they're not trying to compete with Sony or Microsoft. With Sony or Nintendo. They're just not trying to compete. So I don't know what else to say about it, man. I could talk on and on and on, but we're still going to get the same results. I just never thought I'd hear that. And a lot of people haven't. It's all over the internet now. Everybody's talking about this subject. And I feel like I would be doing you guys a great disservice if I didn't talk about it too, because it's very important. In my opinion, it's a pivotal moment, believe it or not, in gaming for a lot of people. A lot of true gamers, okay? And I'm not trying to define what a true gamer is. Essentially, I'm just saying that, for me as a gamer, I like to dip my toe in everything, okay? As much as I love Sony, Game Pass is awesome because there's a lot of games that I would have ended up paying for full price if I didn't have Game Pass. And a lot of indie games as well. There's a lot of indie titles that I've been wanting to play on the Switch, for the Switch, and they're on the Xbox right now. So, there's a lot of advantages, like I said, to the Game Pass for me personally. I'm not saying for everybody, but I'm saying for me and my son. Like I said, he's 10. He just turned 10, so he's still in that casual kind of thing. He's playing the Fortnites. He's even playing Redfall. He's playing Redfall and enjoying himself. Like 30 frames per second, all that. You don't care about that stuff, man. If the game is somewhat decent, then he's going to play it. So he's having fun with his friends with it. They're playing it. Hey, that's all I care about. That's really all I care about at the end of the day. Like I said, there's a lot of people playing it because it's on Game Pass. So they're going to play it regardless and try it out and test it out or whatever. He was playing Warframe the other day, and Warframe is just an awesome game. That is truly a company who knows what they're doing. Okay. And who's been hanging in there for years. They've been here. Okay. And they keep expanding. They keep adding. They keep making things greater, adding new stories, all this stuff. So, and that's a free to play game, guys. Keep that in mind. Okay. So there's people who know how to do shit out here in these video game streets. It's just, you gotta be patient sometimes. But here we are talking about this Microsoft fiasco, and I have nothing else to say about it. I don't know what else I can say. Let Phil do the talking. If you want to hear more of the interview, it's out there. It's out there for you. But I think, this is enough, and nothing else needs to be said. So I'm still going to continue to subscribe to Game Pass because, like I said, it benefits me. The day anything stops benefiting me is the day I stop fucking with it. I don't care who you are as a company. If Sony stops making awesome first party games for an extended period of time, they're going to get left. That's just what it is. They're going to get left. Okay. If it's say that some PlayStation 6 comes out and they can't duplicate or replicate what they've done thus far, I'm not fucking with them. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. Or with most people, in most cases, they end up buying the next one because they're doing it based on what the company's done prior. And that's how a lot of people get burned. But then you find out, oh, this isn't what they cracked up to be, what it was cracked up to be. So I'm trading it in, or I'm just not messing with it. And I'm going to go with this system or go with that system. So, everybody has their time in the sun. Maybe Xbox has a comeback story, but it won't be this generation. It'll probably be another console or something if they're even going that direction. It also depends on who you hire, who you have working for you, what direction you want to go in. Okay. If the owners of Microsoft want to truly be serious and want to do something and get into that kind of realm of thing, they'll probably do it. But like I said, as long as they're making the money they're making right now on other things and everything else, they're not fucking worried about that. They're not, because they're making money every year, hand over fist. They're still making money. I'm an investor of Microsoft. Okay, I invest in Microsoft stock because they fucking do kill it. Okay, and it's not in their gaming division; it's other shit. So, they just don't feel like it suits them. And in their mind, hey, that's why Sony's here. That's why Nintendo's here for those purposes. We don't want to try to outshine them in that because we're not going to be able to. They've done too much for too long for us to compete in that realm. So we're just going to stick to our thing. And the Game Pass, I feel, is a great thing. But it in the long term, it's not really per se. It just depends on how you look at it. Like I said, you're a casual gamer and you just want some games and you want to play like a subscription fee. Cool. You got plenty of games. You'll never run out of games to play. And that's cool. But if you're like somebody who really is into the gaming scene and you want to play all of the niche stuff and you want to play all of that, artistic stuff and the obtuse things and all of those and those blockbusters, okay, those one in a lifetime type of games, then you're going to search and you're going to find that Sony and Nintendo have those. So unless you're willing to spend more money and own everything, you're going to be upset. Okay. It is what it is. Like my son has no gripes. Like I said, he has no gripes at all. He's happy. He's playing his games. He's doing his thing. Everything's good. Everything's bueno. Okay. Now, when he gets older, a little older, he may start to, hey, what about this? What about that? You know what I mean? And then it may be time to make some new decisions, but we're good. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing the same thing, but there are a lot other ones that aren't. Okay. And there's some people who are just in denial. There's YouTubers I've seen who are in fucking denial when it comes to the Xbox. Okay. I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they would do that to themselves. Okay. If you they call themselves gamers, like die hard, true game. If you're, and you haven't played God of War games and you haven't played The Last of Us games, or you haven't done these things, hey, I'm just saying you're missing out. Okay. And I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to criticize anybody for just saying, hey, I want to stick to this one system or whatever. You like what you like, So, but I'm just saying, if you're really truly out here looking to heighten your experiences, then, and you haven't played any of those other systems, then you're really missing out on some stuff here. Okay. You just are. I'm not lying. It's just straight facts. And I'll leave it at that, guys. So take take from it what you will, and let's just move on. Okay. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is my review, man, for Star Wars Survivor. But before I get into that, let me just break down the anime watch list real quick. Only thing I've been watching, I had a chance to watch this week, I've been watching Kimetsu no Yaiba. which is Demon Slayer for you guys who don't know, and also Hell's Paradise. Those are the main two I've been watching. Haven't watched anything else really. And that's because I've been playing a lot of Jedi Survivor, and I'm gearing up for this Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Gearing up for that stuff. And I'm working on a lot of other stuff, personal stuff. Just been busy, guys. So, but I'm proud to say that I finished Jedi Survivor. It's a fucking classic to me. It is a classic. Cal Kestis is officially my favorite Jedi as of now. And you have to play this game. I'm going to spoil the shit. Like I said, please, just the story is awesome. Okay, if you played the first one, you know. If you haven't played the first one, it was a coming of age story about Cal Kestis and Order 66 and what was going on in that time frame. If you're not familiar with the Star Wars lore and a lot of that, Order 66 was basically a order from the higher ups to cleanse the galaxy of all Jedi. So they had people, they had teams, they had troops that literally just went around the galaxy looking for Jedi. And if they found them, they wiped them out and they killed them. Okay. And that's pretty much what it was. Okay. They wanted to wipe out every Jedi because they didn't want anything to come back and give them any challenges or any hiccups or any props. Think of it kind of like how Frieza did the Saiyans. Okay. He just said, look, I want to kill all these Saiyans because they have the potential to one day rise up and take me off my throne. So that's essentially what Order 66 was. And that's what happens. Okay. So you had all these other Jedi, well, the ones that were left from all of this stuff, hiding out, hiding their abilities, trying to pretend they were regular people and just trying to blend in and not be found out. And Cal Kestis was one of those guys, just had a regular job. He was out here just doing his thing. And then one of his friends almost had an accident at work and was in danger of dying. And without thinking about anything, he went to go save him. And in the process of that, he exposed his Jedi abilities. Therefore, it sparked a lot of shit to pop off. And there you go. They're trying to kill him. He's another Jedi over here. Let's get him. Da, 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 da. And when that happened, a lot of things happened. He lost a lot. Okay. A lot of friends. He just lost a lot of people he cared about. And this is just the first game. Okay. And so he was trying to come to grips with being a Jedi and having these abilities. And he was so mad and upset. He wanted to low key kind of fight back, fight back. It was like fighting a losing battle. Okay. Essentially. And, like I said, there was another time back in the day in Star Wars where the Jedi's reigned supreme. Everybody was Jedi's were in abundance. They were everywhere and doing all these things. But this was not that time. So that's what I loved about this story. Okay. But anyway, let's fast forward to this game. We finally get this game here. He met some interesting people in the first game, and he had a small team that he had a little clique, if you will. And then between the first game and the second game, things happened where everybody kind of wanted to go do their own thing. They wanted to find themselves, and they had their own kind of callings, if you will, and they went to go kind of experience those things. So 5 years between the first game and the second game took place, and then Cal is by himself in the second game, and he's got a whole new crew of whole new team that he's doing stuff with, and Cal is basically fighting the good fight. He's out here trying to just go against the grain, not wanting to submit to the dark side, and trying to just to fight them every way he can. And he ends up losing a lot of his team, pretty much his whole fucking team in the beginning of the game. These new characters we've never seen before, but you could tell that he's grown real close to them and developed a kinship and all of that. And they pretty much all died on this mission, except for him, of course. And he meets a guy named Bode, B-O-D-E, who wears a jetpack and is pretty good with it, pretty nifty with it. And he uses a blaster. Befriends this guy. They develop a kinsmanship, they get real close and everything looks good. They're developing some stuff. He still has his old team from the first game, which, consisted of the pilot of the ship, which is Grease. Then you had Siri. Those were the main people. And then you had his quote unquote, I guess you can call her love interest, Marin. Okay. They all come back together through certain events that happen. There's a guy who, what's his fucking name? I don't even have his fucking name here. He's a Jedi. He was a Jedi back in the old days, okay, like 200 years before this, okay, back when everything was good, okay, for the Jedi, all right? But he wanted to find a planet. Well, he actually found a planet, which was very hard to get to. And getting that planet, he wanted to grow on that planet. In other words, make it their own planet so that they couldn't be found. If they were on this planet, and because it was so hard to get to, the dark side couldn't get to them. They couldn't find them. And if they did try, it'd be very hard to do. And that's what he wanted. Okay. But it kind of overtook him. And that's what happens in this universe. Sometimes you can start out good. You know, your intentions are always good. And then all of a sudden, because of your desires and the things you want, they happen. It can turn you into another person. Okay. You become obsessed, and to the point where you don't care who you hurt to get what you want. You just want what you want. Okay. And a lot of that was going on in this game. It was a very sad game as well, because like I said, we lost some very key players in this story, man. But the reason why I love this game so much is because it shows you the growth of Cal Kestis from the first game to this game. You even see the growth he had when you first start the second game. You just knew, yo, he's not the same guy he was before. Okay. He's not this wet behind the ears kind of guy trying to be a Jedi. All right. This guy, technically, he is a fucking Jedi now. He moves like a Jedi. He's a man now. He's out here getting it how he lives. And that's what I loved about him. And even more so, the events that take place in the second game, all the way to the very last fucking second before the credits roll, is a fucking roller coaster ride of some crazy shit. And I'm not going to tell everything about the game, of course, but I'm just telling you now, there's some key moments in here that just broke my heart, man. It broke my heart. There were some moments that gave me goosebumps, especially the very end, right before the credits started rolling. But shit gets real. Marin, which is the Night Sister from the first game, she has a love interest with Cal Kestis, and they actually explore this. I love that they were able to explore this. They shared some kisses. They shared some intimate moments in this game, and you basically got to see that she loved him, and he finally realized what he wanted, and that he loved her, and all of that was reciprocated in this game, which I fucking adored. Okay, and they developed a bond. They started to develop a bond. Seer, which was in the game, she's a Jedi as well. She's the one who saved Cal Kestis in the first game and kind of took him under her wing, and all through the first game. Okay. Kind of like a mother figure too, I guess you can call her. But anyway, she was out doing her own thing. She shaved her head since the first game, and she developed her own, her thing that she was into. Okay. Which is, I think, called the Hidden Path, which she was trying to find a place where they can't be found so that they can go out, find other Jedi in the world, and bring them back to some sort of hub that she wanted to create. So in secret, so that they could grow their ranks and grow stronger and be ready for some sort of takeover eventually, and kill basically Order 66, make that a thing of the past, essentially. Okay. And they were trying to do, and still trying to do, everything in their power to stop that. This game didn't focus on the Empire as much as it did in the first game. It focused more on what they were trying to do to be ready for the Empire when that type of time came around. So you got to see a lot of that. And there was just another story within that story, which is that rogue, the Jedi survivor, in essence. Okay. Which Cal found, and he was in this tank, the septic tank, if you will. And he let him out of the tank. And when Cal let him out the tank, he went right after Cal. Okay. He got aggressive, and he went right after Cal. And there was a lot of back and forth, cat and mousing going on between those two in the game, until Cal took his ass out eventually. Okay. And he took out some of his associates, or his main associate, And like I said, I'm not going to tell you everything. There's a lot of stuff still for the players, you guys, I want to discover if you decide to play it later on down the line or whatever. And most likely, if you're listening to this right now, you probably don't plan on playing it anytime soon, but maybe it's a game you pick up at a discount, or when you feel like playing it or something. So you probably won't remember half this shit anyway. But like I said, There's a lot of interesting set pieces in this game, a lot of growth with Cal. You start out with the game with all the abilities you had in the first game, and plus some new ones you got down the line. You have 5 different stances, which is awesome. And the customization, I should say, is chef's kiss. You can do so many different things, so many different outfits, so many different fits. Even your lightsaber has so many different things. Even your blaster that you obtain in this game, you can make it cosmetically pleasing to your liking. So there's all these things going on. And then there's a lot of the side content stuff that I still haven't finished, that I plan on going back and cleaning up this week before Zelda comes out. So I have time to go back. There's these bounties that I still have that I want to go clean up. I've only did like 3 or 4 bounties, and I think there's like 16 in all. So yeah, I want to go clean those up. And then there's some other things that there's still even areas in the game that I have yet to explore, that I have not even tapped into. So all of these things you can still go out and do, because I love the world. The world is beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It's a beautiful game, man. That's all I can tell you. And like I said, the customization, no 2 Cal Kestis's will look the same. All right. It's not, it won't. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just an awesome experience. And I just want to say that everybody should, if you're a Star Wars fan, definitely. And most likely, if you're a Star Wars fan, you've played this, okay? Or you're playing it now. All right. And you probably muted me if you haven't finished or gotten to a certain point. I got a friend right now who's like halfway through the game because he hasn't had as much time to play it. And I told him, he asked me about it, and I told him, yeah, I beat it the other night. And I said, it's so hard not to spoil anything. I said, man, just get off the phone because I don't want to slip up. And he said, okay, well, I'm about to dive in. Okay, here. And so yeah, you do your thing and we'll talk about it when you finish the game. Okay. But yeah, shit gets real hectic a little bit past halfway, the halfway mark of the game story and the story part. It gets crazy. So I'll leave. I will say that there was an awesome scene. They were betrayed by Bode. Okay. Bode, the guy that I thought was my homie. I thought that was my boy. He betrayed us. He killed somebody. Like I said, I'm not going to say everything, but there was somebody who we thought were dead in the first game. He wasn't. He was alive. I was like, oh shit, we got the team. We got a clique. It was all good. And he did that betrayal thing. He has a daughter who he loves and adores, and his whole motivation is, I want to go somewhere where I can't be found and my daughter and me can live in peace. And he wanted that by himself, though. He said he wanted this planet to himself. He wanted this whole planet to himself. He didn't want anybody else there because he feared that they would come looking for them there. Okay. And he didn't want that. He wanted to be left alone with his daughter because his wife was killed by the Empire, low key. And it was just a lot of tragedy, but he was willing to sacrifice thousands of people for the sake of his daughter and keeping his daughter bottled up somewhere hidden away where she couldn't really live her life and all of that. And it kind of sucked, man. And he was willing to do whatever he had to do to make that a reality. And he betrayed his quote unquote best friend, is what he called Cal in the game. And it was crazy, man. It was just terrible. And as a result of that, him doing that, they were invaded Sears Planet, or what she called her home, where they were safe for years. They were found out about, and because of Bode, and because of that, they were ambushed. Okay. And Darth Vader made an appearance in this game. Darth Vader made another appearance. Seer was actually waiting for him this time. And like I said, she was a cold Jedi. She was a bad Jedi. You actually got to play as her in this game. Okay. There was a segment in the game where you took over for her and you were playing as her. And in that segment, you had a chance to fight Darth Vader. Okay. And the fight was pretty epic to the point where she gave him a run for his money this time. The first game, they actually had an encounter with him and he mopped him. No problems. Okay. And I think she embraced her Jedi lifestyle again between the first game and the second game. And like I said, she just looked very badass in this game and it showed. But like I said, we're talking about Darth Vader here. And Darth Vader at the end got the best of her and killed her. But he didn't walk away clean. Okay. He definitely got scuffed up, and she ended up dying in Cal's arms, and it was just a very sad moment. And that's probably the saddest part for me in this game, man, because I really was looking forward to them being a family again and traveling the galaxy, with the same like-mindedness and trying to just do everything good that they could. The sad part was it didn't happen, but her death wasn't in vain because she left a mark on Cal, and oh man, it ended up going to Cal ended up tracking down Bode, okay, on this planet, okay, and they had this big ass fight. But before they did that, he revealed to Cal that he was actually a Jedi as well. That was like the big surprise, man, because the whole time you played and fought with this guy, you went on missions with him and he would help out and he had his blaster and he would help you fight or whatnot. But you never knew he was a Jedi. He was hiding that. He was holding that back. He's actually quite powerful. He found a way to hide on the Order 66 hit. Now he exposed the fact that he was a Jedi as well. And that was just, my mind was blown when that happened. But anyway, you get down, you finally chase his ass down on this planet. Okay. You get there. Is the planet, I think, is called Tandalore, the name of the planet. But anyway, they get there, they find the planet, they fight on it. His daughter's there with him. She tells him, she pleads with him not to fight Cal Kestis and them, but he's not trying to listen. And so they fight to the death. And of course, Cal has to put him down. Okay. Cal puts his ass down and she's left. The daughter is left. So what ends up happening is she's left in the care of Cal and Marin. And I guess you could say Grease as well. Okay. Cause so basically it's going to be Cal and Marin raising this child. Okay. Because I'm guessing she's going to be some sort of Jedi. We're going to see where this next game is going to go. It's going to be crazy. But anyway, they got this island. This island is their home now. They found out, how to get there without being traced back. So they're probably going to live out Seer's dream, take care of the child, raise the child, and then bring more of the lost people to this planet. Basically build back the numbers up, build the Jedi's back to a prominent group. And I think that's the next mission, because like I said, there's no way that one guy could, take over and take down the Empire as big as they are and everything that they have now, especially with the Jedi. Most Jedi just nowhere to be found. Okay. If they're not hiding somewhere, they're dead. Okay. So it's going to take time to bring that back to make a comeback. So he's just doing his part and his friends are helping him in that regard. So that's where we're left right now. And at the very end of the game, I say movie, but it felt like a fucking movie. But at the very end, on this planet, they basically had the bodies. They took the bodies and they did the ritual. Okay. They even gave Bode his respect, because he once was a friend and we did understand his motivations. Yes, he was wrong for doing what he did, but at the same time, it was kind of understandable why he was trying to do it partially for his daughter, for the sake of his daughter. So they all had their ceremonies where they covered them up in silk and lit them on fire and burned their bodies and stuff and kind of said goodbye. Right at the very end, you see on the ground Seer's lightsaber at his feet, and he's basically saying farewell to it, and then the credits just start rolling. And I had goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now. You'd have to see the scene to understand what I'm saying, but it was just an epic ass scene, man. I love what they're doing with this in this universe with these characters, man. I really do. They're doing a lot of great things, man. You got the Mandalorian. Okay. You have a lot of dope shit here. Okay. Boba Fett. You have a lot of interesting characters in this world. And I just really love Cal Kestis and what they were able to do and telling his story. And it's not over yet. Okay. Because the way it ended, it's open ended to where there's got to be a third one. There's got to be a trilogy. And I can't wait to see where they're going to go with this third one. How many years what time jump are we going to get this next time? Will it be more of a, when we get 10, 20 year time jump or something where now Cal is a seasoned Jedi and now the daughter of Bode is, who knows? They could take this in so many different directions. Maybe Cal has some of his own children and we're doing something. It could get crazy. All right. Who knows? I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it. But there's so much more of this, and there's still more of the story to tell, because after you beat the game, the world is your oyster. You can still go around, travel, but now the only difference is instead you have Bolt's daughter in your crew, part of your crew, and you can go around and clean up stuff. You can get more lore, and I've yet to experience that, so I'm anxious to see what else they have in here for us, what other Easter eggs and things of that nature that they have. So I'm gonna go back and clear all that out, most of that out this week, and get ready for Tears of the Kingdom. So that's where I'm at, guys. I've spoiled a lot of things. I've said a lot of things, but there's still a lot of things that I have not said. There's no way I could break it all down, but I wanted to leave some things to be discovered, put it like that. So there's a lot of awesome moments in this game. There's a lot of beautiful moments in this game, and I hope that you guys are able to experience it if you haven't already. Okay. And with that being said, that's the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, downloading, streaming, all of that. And I'll be back. We do this every Monday, same bad time, same bad channel. Also, I want to say, show your love and support all my Dragon Ball fans. Yo, check out the Dragon Ball TikTok, Dragon Ball Drip on TikTok, guys, and check me out there. Also, check out the Random Gameplay Pimpin' TikTok. Check me out there as well. Okay. I just converted my Facebook page, to a Dragon Ball Drip Facebook page. So definitely check that out. So if you're still on Facebook and you mess around out there, check that out. Look up Dragon Ball Drip and stop by, leave some comments, show some love, whatever. It's all good. And yeah, man, definitely check out DragonBallDrip.com and get yourself a hoodie, a t-shirt, a coffee mug, whatever, and show some love there. All proceeds will definitely go towards helping out the show. And I think I'll leave you guys with that, man. I'll be back. I can't wait to talk about Zelda, and I will next week. I'll have been played it over the weekend, and I'll definitely give you guys a rundown on what's been going on with that. And there's no way I can spoil that game, really, essentially. It's so fucking huge, man. I mean, there's some things you could spoil, but in essence, man, that game, for me, I told you guys last week, that's a game where you put in anywhere from 100 to 200 hours throughout the course of the whole fucking rest of the year. For me, that's what I'll be doing, because there's other games coming out, and I'm not going to rush through Zelda at all. I'm just going to spend my time and take my time in that type of game and just do my thing. So with all that said, now I'm going to bow out gracefully. I love you guys dearly. Thank you all for listening and tuning in, and I'll see you next week. This is your boy, Studio MacGyver, and you have been listening to Random Gameplay Pimpin'. See you next time.